in the operations center just before the morning rush. Dashboards are glowing, alerts are quiet, and the automated monitoring system is humming along exactly as it should. The network load looks normal. The AI-driven analytics engine is processing logs in real time. Everything appears stable. But something underneath the surface has already shifted. The anomaly detection model that used to catch suspicious login patterns is now letting subtle threats slide by. The forecasting engine that once predicted server strain hours in advance is suddenly blind to an emerging spike. The automation workflow that used to route tasks flawlessly is now misclassifying requests without anyone noticing. No error messages, no system warnings, no blinking red indicators, just silence. And in the world of technology, silence is often the first sign of trouble because intelligence systems rarely fail with a dramatic crash. They fail quietly, gradually, invisibly. They drift away from the patterns they were trained to understand, and they do it so subtly that even seasoned engineers don't see it happening in real time. This is the part of digital transformation that rarely makes the keynote slides. The moment when smart systems stop behaving as expected and the organization keeps trusting them anyway. Today, we're going to talk about that moment, what causes it, why it matters, and what every technologist, engineer, and leader needs to understand before they hand critical decisions over to algorithms and automation. Because the future isn't just about building intelligent systems. It's about knowing when those systems start to go silent. What AI drift actually is. So let's break down what's really happening in that silent moment, the moment when an intelligent system stops behaving the way it used to. Because this isn't a glitch, it's not a bug, it's something far more fundamental. It's called AI drift. And if you work in technology, cybersecurity, IT operations, automation, or digital transformation, you're going to see it, whether you realize it or not. AI drift is what happens when the world changes, but the model doesn't. The data shifts, the patterns evolve, the environment moves on, and the AI keeps making decisions based on a version of reality that no longer exists. There are a few different forms of drift, and each one can quietly undermine the systems we rely on. First, there's data drift. This is when the inputs change. Maybe user behavior shifts. Maybe network traffic patterns evolve. Maybe the business adopts new tools or workflows. The AI was trained on yesterday's data, and today's data doesn't look the same. Then there's concept drift, and this is deeper. It's when the meaning of the data changes. A login pattern that used to be normal is now suspicious. A performance metric that used to signal stability now signals risk. The AI doesn't understand the new context because no one told it the rules changed. And finally, operational drift. This is the physical world creeping into the digital one. Sensors degrade, logs get noisy, cameras shift, AP is changed, infrastructure evolves. The AI is still trying to interpret the world through a lens that's slowly going out of focus. The important thing to understand is this. AI drift isn't a failure of intelligence. It's a failure of alignment. The model isn't broken. It's just out of sync with reality. And in technology, that gap between what the AI thinks is happening and what's actually happening is where the real risk lives. Because the system still looks like it's working. It still produces outputs. It still gives you dashboards and predictions and classifications. It still sounds confident. But confidence is not accuracy, and drift is the invisible force that slowly pulls those two things apart. In the next segment, we're going to talk about why AI drift hits technology teams harder than almost any other sector, and why the consequences can ripple across entire organizations before anyone realizes what's happening. Why AI drift hits technology harder than almost any other sector. Now, here's the part that surprises a lot of people. AI drift doesn't hit every industry the same way. It hits technology teams, IT, cybersecurity, DevOps, cloud operations, automation groups, harder than almost anyone else. And the reason is simple. Tech environments change faster than any AI model can keep up. Think about it. New software gets deployed, new APIs roll out, new user behaviors emerge, new threats evolve, new data sources come online, new integrations get bolted onto old systems. And all of this happens weekly, sometimes daily. Meanwhile, the AI model that's supposed to make sense of this environment is still operating on the patterns it learned months ago, maybe years ago. It's like asking a GPS to navigate a city that's been rebuilt since the last map update. And here's where it gets even trickier. Technology systems don't just change, they compound. Every new tool, every new workflow, every new automation layer adds complexity. And complexity is the natural enemy of static models. Let's break down why drift hits tech so hard. 1. The data never stops moving. User behavior shifts constantly. Threat actors evolve their tactics. Cloud workloads spike and drop unpredictably. AI models trained on normal patterns quickly lose their footing. 2. The environment is never stable. Infrastructure gets patched, upgraded, migrated, containerized, virtualized. Logs change format, sensors get replaced. Monitoring tools get reconfigured. The AI sees all of this as noise, unless it's retrained to understand the new reality. 3. The stakes are higher than people realize. When AI drifts in tech, it doesn't just misclassify a file or misroute a ticket. It can miss a cyber intrusion, misjudge a performance bottleneck, fail to predict a system outage, misinterpret a security anomaly, trigger or suppress an automated response. These aren't small errors, they're operational risks. 4. Tech teams trust automation more than they admit. Dashboards look clean, alerts stay quiet, models output, confident predictions. And because everything looks normal, teams assume everything is normal, but drift hides behind normal. 5. No one owns AI performance. Security thinks IT owns it. IT thinks data science owns it. Data science thinks operations owns it. Operations thinks the vendor owns it. And the vendor thinks the customer will monitor it. Meanwhile, the model keeps drifting. This is why AI drift is such a uniquely dangerous problem in technology. It's not loud, it's not obvious, it doesn't announce itself. It blends into the background of a system that already moves too fast for humans to track manually. And by the time someone notices, the damage is usually already done or well underway. In the next segment, we're going to explore real examples of how smart systems fail in the tech world and what those failures look like when they unfold in real time. Because once you see the patterns, you'll never look at normal system behavior the same way again. Case examples. When smart systems fail. Let's bring AI drift out of the abstract and into the real world. Because once you see how these failures unfold, you start recognizing the patterns everywhere. And remember, in technology, AI rarely fails loudly. It fails competently. It fails confidently. It fails while telling you everything is fine. Here are a few examples of what that looks like. Example 1. The security system that stopped seeing threats. A global company deployed an AI-driven anomaly detection system to monitor login behavior. For months, it worked flawlessly. It caught unusual access patterns, flagged suspicious geolocations, and helped the security team shut down several real threats. Then slowly, the world changed. Remote work increased, VPN usage spiked. Employees started logging in from new devices, new networks, new time zones. The AI wasn't retrained. It didn't understand the new normal. So it adapted the only way it could. It started treating unusual behavior as normal. A threat actor eventually slipped in using a pattern that would have been flagged 6 months earlier. But the model had drifted, and the silence looked like stability. Example 2, the forecasting engine that missed the outage. A cloud operations team relied on an AI model to predict server strain. It was trained on historical workloads, seasonal patterns, and typical usage spikes. Then the company launched a new product feature. User behavior changed overnight. Traffic patterns shifted dramatically. The AI didn't recognize the new load signature. It didn't warn the team, and it didn't raise a flag. Instead, it confidently predicted normal operations. The result, a cascading outage that took hours to diagnose, not because the system broke, but because the AI failed to understand the new reality. Example 3, the automation workflow that quietly misrouted everything. A service desk implemented an AI-powered ticket classifier to route requests. It worked beautifully at first, then the company reorganized, new departments formed, new categories were added, old categories were retired. The AI wasn't updated. It kept routing tickets based on a structure that no longer existed. Requests went to the wrong teams, SLA time slipped, customer satisfaction dropped, and no one suspected the AI because the dashboard still showed high confidence predictions. Confidence without accuracy is drift in disguise. Example 4, the monitoring system that lost its vision. A computer vision model monitored server rooms for anomalies, overheating, smoke, unauthorized access, equipment issues. Then the facility upgraded its lighting. New bulbs, new color temperature, new shadows. The model's accuracy dropped by nearly 40%, not because the environment got worse, but because the environment changed. The AI didn't fail. It simply didn't recognize the world anymore. The pattern behind all these failures. In every case, the AI didn't break. It didn't crash. It didn't throw an error. It just drifted. And because it drifted quietly, the organization kept trusting it, right up until the moment the consequences became impossible to ignore. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the hidden problem behind all of this, our overtrust in automation, and why even the smartest teams fall into the trap of assuming AI is more stable, more accurate, and more self-correcting than it actually is, because the real danger isn't the drift itself. It's believing the system can't drift at all. The hidden problem, overtrust in automation. Here's the uncomfortable truth about AI drift. The biggest risk isn't the technology, it's us. Because somewhere along the way, we started treating automation like it's infallible. We assume that if a system is smart enough to analyze millions of data points, it must also be smart enough to correct itself. We assume that if the dashboard is green, the operation is healthy. We assume that if the AI is confident, it must be right. But confidence is not competence, and automation is not autonomy. Let's talk about why even the most experienced technology teams fall into this trap. 1. Automation bias, the human blind spot. When a machine gives us an answer, we tend to trust it more than we trust our own judgment. It's subtle, it's psychological, and it's incredibly dangerous. If a human analyst misses something, we question it. If an AI misses something, we assume the data must be fine. Automation bias turns drift into a silent threat because no one is looking for the failure. 2. The illusion of stability. Tech dashboards are designed to look calm. Green lights, clean charts, smooth lines. But AI drift doesn't disrupt the dashboard. It disrupts the meaning behind the dashboard. The system still looks stable. The outputs still look normal. The predictions still look confident. And that illusion is exactly what keeps teams from noticing the drift until it's too late. 3. The myth of self-correcting AI. There's a widespread belief that AI models automatically adapt to new data. Some do, but most don't. Not in the way people think. A model can only learn from the data it's given. If the data changes and no one retrains the model, the AI doesn't evolve. It just gets more certain about being wrong. 4. The ownership gap. Here's a question that exposes the real problem. Who is responsible for monitoring AI performance? Ask 5 teams and you'll get 5 different answers. Security thinks data science owns it. Data science thinks operations owns it. Operations thinks the vendor owns it. The vendor thinks the customer owns it. And leadership assumes the system is smart enough to manage itself. This gap is where drift thrives. 5. The comfort of automation. Automation is seductive. It saves time. It reduces noise. It handles complexity. It frees up teams to focus on higher value work. But comfort can become complacency, and complacency is the perfect environment for drift to grow unnoticed. 6. The real danger, unquestioned trust. The most dangerous phrase in modern technology isn't "the system is down," it's "the system says everything is fine." Because when AI drifts, it doesn't scream, it whispers, it blends in, it behaves just well enough to avoid suspicion. And the more we trust it without verification, the more power we give to a system that may no longer understand the world it's analyzing. In the next segment, we're going to flip the script because drift isn't just a technical problem. It's reshaping the role of the modern technician, engineer, and operator. We're entering an era where humans don't just use AI. They supervise it. They validate it. They become the guardrails that keep intelligent systems aligned with reality. And that shift is going to redefine the future of work. The new role of technicians, AI supervisors. So if automation can drift, if AI can quietly lose alignment with reality, if dashboards can look healthy while the system is slipping off course, then what does that mean for the people who keep our digital world running? It means the role of the modern technician, engineer, and operator is changing fast. We're entering an era where humans don't just use AI. They supervise it. They validate it. They become the guardrails that keep intelligent systems honest. Let's break down what that looks like. 1. Technicians become pattern interpreters, not button pushers. In the past, technicians monitored systems directly. They watched logs, checked metrics, and responded to alerts. Now AI watches the systems, and technicians watch the AI. That means the job shifts from "what is the system doing" to "does the AI still understand what it's seeing?" It's a higher level skill. It's more analytical. And it requires a deeper understanding of how digital patterns evolve. 2. Engineers become AI quality controllers. Just like equipment needs calibration, AI needs calibration too. Engineers become the people who spot early signs of drift, validate predictions against real-world outcomes, compare AI decisions to human intuition, flag inconsistencies before they become failures. This isn't about coding models. It's about maintaining them, the same way we maintain infrastructure, networks, and hardware. 3. Operators. Become the human-in-the-loop. Automation is powerful, but it's not autonomous. Operators become the final checkpoint, the human layer that ensures the AI's decisions make sense in context. They ask questions like, is this alert actually meaningful? Does this prediction match what I'm seeing? Is this workflow routing the right way? Has something changed that the AI doesn't understand yet? This human-in-the-loop role is essential. It's the difference between drift being caught early and drift becoming a crisis. 4. The rise of the AI-aware technician. We're witnessing the birth of a new professional identity, the technician who understands both the physical world and the digital logic behind the tools they use. They don't need to be data scientists. They don't need to write machine learning code, but they do need to understand how models learn, how models fail, how drift happens, how to recognize when something feels off. This is the technician of the future, part craftsperson, part analyst, part digital steward. 5. Why this shift matters. Because AI is not replacing technicians, it's elevating them. The organizations that thrive in the digital era will be the ones that empower their frontline teams to question automation, challenge predictions, and escalate concerns when the AI's confidence doesn't match reality. The future belongs to the teams who understand that intelligent systems still need intelligent oversight. 6. The human advantage. Here's the part that often gets overlooked. Humans are still better at noticing when something feels wrong. We're better at context. We're better at nuance. We're better at spotting the subtle signals that don't fit the pattern. AI is powerful, but it doesn't have instincts. It doesn't have experience. It doesn't have intuition. That's why the future isn't AI replacing humans. It's humans supervising AI. And that partnership, human judgment plus machine intelligence, is what will define the next decade of digital operations. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how organizations can build AI resilience, the processes, tools, and habits that keep intelligent systems aligned with reality, even as the world around them changes. Because drift isn't inevitable, but preventing it requires a new mindset, new practices, and a new level of collaboration between humans and machines. How industry can build AI resilience. So now that we understand what drift is, why it happens, and why humans must supervise intelligent systems, the next question is the one every organization needs to answer. How do we build AI that stays aligned with reality, even as the world around it changes? Because drift isn't inevitable, it's preventable, but only if we treat AI like a living system, not a static tool. Let's break down the practices that create true AI resilience. 1. Continuous retraining, the AI equivalent of preventive maintenance. Just like equipment needs calibration, AI models need fresh data, not once a year, not when something breaks, but continuously. Retraining keeps the model aligned with new user behavior, new threats, new workflows, new infrastructure, new business realities. If the world changes and the model doesn't, drift is guaranteed. Continuous retraining is how you keep the AI's mental map up to date. 2. Drift monitoring dashboards that watch the watchers. Most organizations monitor system performance. Very few monitor model performance. AI resilience requires dashboards that track prediction accuracy over time, confidence versus correctness, shifts in input, data distributions, changes in output patterns, anomalies in model behavior. This is how you catch drift early, before it becomes a silent failure. Think of it as a smoke detector for your AI. 3. Human in the loop validation, the technician. As the final checkpoint, automation should never be fully automated. Every critical AI decision needs a human layer that can approve, reject, override, question, escalate. This isn't inefficiency, it's safety, it's quality control. It's how you prevent a confident model from making confidently wrong decisions. Humans don't slow AI down, they keep it honest. 4. Red team testing, stress testing the intelligence. Just like cybersecurity teams run penetration tests, AI teams need to run drift tests. Red team testing exposes the model to edge cases, noisy data, new patterns, adversarial inputs, unexpected scenarios. If the model breaks under pressure, better to find out in testing than in production. This is how you build AI that's resilient, not fragile. 5. Environmental calibration. Keeping the inputs clean. AI doesn't just drift because the world changes. It drifts because the inputs degrade. Logs change format, sensors lose accuracy, cameras shift position, APIs update, data pipelines get noisy. Environmental calibration ensures the AI is still seeing the world clearly. If the inputs drift, the outputs drift, no matter how good the model is. 6. Cross-functional ownership. AI is everyone's responsibility. AI resilience fails when ownership is unclear. The solution is simple. Create a shared responsibility model. IT owns infrastructure stability. Security owns threat validation. Data science owns model health operations, owns real-world alignment. Leadership owns governance and accountability. When everyone owns a piece, drift has nowhere to hide. 7. Documentation and transparency. No more black boxes. AI systems must be explainable, not just to data scientists, but to technicians, operators, and leadership. That means clear documentation, transparent decision logic, accessible performance metrics, easy to understand drift indicators. If people can't understand how the AI works, they can't supervise it. Transparency is the foundation of trust. 8. The resilience mindset. AI as a dynamic asset. The most important shift is cultural. Organizations must stop treating AI like a one-time deployment and start treating it like a dynamic asset that requires monitoring, maintenance validation, updating, human oversight. AI resilience isn't a tool, it's a mindset. It's the belief that intelligent systems are powerful, but only when they stay aligned with the world they're meant to understand. In the next segment, we're going to zoom out and talk directly to leadership, because executives often assume AI is a magic box that improves over time. But the truth is the opposite. Without oversight, AI doesn't get better, it gets worse. And that misunderstanding is one of the biggest risks in modern digital transformation. The executive message: AI is not a magic box. Now let's talk directly to the people making the strategic decisions, the executives, directors, and leaders driving digital transformation inside their organizations. Because there's a misconception at the leadership level that quietly fuels AI drift more than any technical issue ever could. It's the belief that AI is a magic box, a box that gets smarter over time, a box that adapts automatically, a box that improves itself without oversight, a box that can be deployed, integrated, and then left alone. But here's the truth every leader needs to hear. AI does not get better on its own. Without oversight, it gets worse. Let's break down what leaders often misunderstand and what they need to understand if they want AI to be an asset, not a liability. 1. AI is not autonomous. It's dependent. AI depends on clean data, stable environments, accurate inputs, regular retraining, human supervision. If any of those pieces slip, the AI slips with them. Leaders who assume AI is self-correcting are unknowingly creating the perfect conditions for drift. 2. AI is not a one-time investment, it's an ongoing commitment. Buying an AI system is not the finish line, it's the starting line. AI requires maintenance monitoring, updating governance, cross-functional ownership. If you wouldn't deploy a critical piece of equipment without a maintenance plan, you shouldn't deploy AI without one either. 3. AI is not a replacement for expertise. It amplifies it. The most successful organizations aren't the ones replacing people with AI. They're the ones elevating people with AI. Technicians, engineers, analysts, they become the supervisors of intelligent systems. Their judgment becomes more important, not less. Leaders who treat AI as a substitute for human expertise are setting themselves up for blind spots. 4. AI is not a black box. It must be explainable. Executives must demand transparency. If your team can explain how the model works, why it made a decision, what data it relies on, how often it's retrained, how drift is detected, then you're not managing AI, you're gambling with it. Explainability isn't optional, it's governance. 5. AI is not a risk eliminator, it's a risk multiplier. Without oversight, AI can reduce risk when it's aligned with reality, but when it drifts, it multiplies risk at scale. A human mistake affects one decision. A drifting AI affects thousands. Leaders must understand that AI amplifies whatever it touches, accuracy or error. 6. AI is not a set and forget tool. It's a living system. AI evolves. Your business evolves. Your environment evolves. Your data evolves. If your AI doesn't evolve with them, it becomes misaligned. And misalignment is where failures begin. Leaders must treat AI like a dynamic asset that requires continuous care. 7. The leadership imperative. Build a culture of verification. The organizations that thrive in the AI era will be the ones that embrace a simple principle. Trust the AI, but verify everything. That means encouraging teams to question outputs, rewarding people who catch drift early, funding, retraining, and monitoring, breaking down silos around AI ownership, making AI performance a board-level conversation. AI succeeds when leadership understands its limits as clearly as its potential. In the next segment, we'll bring everything together: the risks, the drift, the human role, the leadership mindset, and close with the core message of this episode. AI doesn't fail dramatically. It fails silently. And the organizations that win will be the ones that learn to listen for that silence. Closing segment: trust, but verify. We've covered a lot in this episode: the silence of AI drift, the hidden failures, the human role, the leadership mindset, and the practices that keep intelligent systems aligned with reality. But if there's one message I want you to walk away with, it's this: AI doesn't fail dramatically. It fails quietly. It doesn't crash. It doesn't freeze. It doesn't throw an error message. It just starts making decisions based on a world that no longer exists. And it does it with the same confidence it had on day one. That's the danger. And that's the opportunity, because the organizations that thrive in the digital era won't be the ones with the most AI. They'll be the ones with the most AI awareness, the ones who understand that intelligent systems still need intelligent oversight, the ones who empower technicians, engineers, and operators to question the outputs, the ones who build processes that monitor the models, not just the machines, the ones who treat AI as a dynamic asset, something to maintain, validate, and continuously align with reality. This is the real digital revolution. Not automation, not algorithms, not dashboards. It's the partnership between human judgment and machine intelligence. A partnership where humans don't just trust the AI, they verify it. Where leaders don't just deploy AI, they govern it. Where technicians don't just use AI, they supervise it. Because the future isn't about replacing people with machines, it's about elevating people with machines. And the organizations that understand that, the ones who listen for the silence, who catch drift early, who build resilience into every layer of their digital operations, those are the organizations that will lead the next decade. So as you go back to your teams, your systems, your dashboards, your strategies, remember this: trust the AI, but verify everything. Because the smartest system in the room isn't the one that makes the most predictions. It's the one that stays aligned with reality, and the people who ensure it does.